Yes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Veterans Minimum. I'm your host, Nick Deus, at The Lamb Show on all social media outlets. Make sure you are following the page, the YouTube page, the Twitter page, the Instagram page, the Facebook page, the Patreon page, everything, baby. At Veterans Minimum. Cheap plugs. My guy, ALLEN_STRK. What up?
What's up?
How you feeling?
Not as bad as Devontae Freeman trying to punch Aaron Donald.
Yo, that was very upsetting as a daily fantasy player, as a fan of...
I love both guys to death, man. It was like, damn, why you have to punch Aaron out of all people?
Yo, not only that, it looked like he was a child when he got picked up, right?
No, man. It bummed me out. I love Devontae Freeman. That guy leaves it all out there, but it's just... I don't know, you get emotional because they just threw a pick. They're trying to hit Sanu on a screen. And I think it bounced off James Carpenter, left guard, and maybe Littleton got the pick, but then all of a sudden you just see I have a big circle, just Aaron Donald lifting up Devontae Freeman. I'm just like, oh, it's not going to. You just see Freeman throwing a right hand. I'm just like, oh my god.
First and foremost, number one dumbest thing you could do in a football fight is punch someone that has a helmet on.
I remember Jordan Reed did to somebody, and then he got kicked, and I think he injured his hand in the process. Of poor Jordan Reed, the guy has enough injuries. So that's like another example. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a successful punch. Like when Andre Johnson did the Quillen finger, I think his helmet was off, right?
I want to say he got the helmet off. Yeah, okay. That's probably the best football fight. Really? These guys are definitely scrapping. But I think it's so stupid. I remember playing high school football. My coach would be like, guys, God forbid anything crazy happens and a brawl breaks out. Just buckle up your chin strap and just keep your helmet on. Because nothing can hurt you, right?
True.
And... unless I think Matt Breida got poked in the eye and he had to miss a couple of drives last week. Yeah. But for the most part, and also running backs and skill guys, they have visors on and shit. But for the most part, you don't need to worry about getting punched in the face when you have a helmet on. But that was really funny. He got ejected too. We actually have the NBA on in the background. It's opening night. We're recording Wednesday. What's your level of excitement for NBA basketball? I don't think I've ever asked you, like, what team do you follow?
I was a big Heat fan growing up because my brother loved Alonzo Mourning. So the Heat were my team. But it was cool when LeBron came, but then it just got very predictable because I'm just someone that's like, I got very redundant. Just like, okay, they're kind of buying their way to success. I'm someone that likes building through a draft. I know it's like a big nerd right now. But it was just, after like the second championship, I'm like, all right, I'm kind of content. I always had a soft spot for the Heat, but at this point, I just follow wherever the Croatians play. Be a Croatian, I want to see them all do well. Bogdanovic has done his thing. Sadic, a little bit of a decline, but he's still big. And
Dario!
Yeah. I love Mario Hezonja, although he did own me back in June. He actually, I tweeted out the Spurs drafted Luka Samaric they drafted, and Luka said, yeah, I'm going to be the next Kevin Durant. I'm just like, oh, here I thought Hezonja was the only arrogant Croatian. He actually found my because I don't tag any players in my tweets unless I interviewed them and it's like a positive thing, fine, but I didn't tag Mario Hezonja. He found me and he goes, nothing wrong about being arrogant. He said something about doing like people retweeting left and right. Croatians were coming out there like, damn, my own people are now coming after me. So I always have love for Hezonja, but yeah, that was super unnecessary.
Yo, that's tremendous. He actually had a moment last year where he blocked Giannis and then like kind of stepped over him. That was like the highlights of Hezonja's career.
I think you tagged me into either you or Impy. I was like,
yeah. It was funny because anytime something good happens for the Knicks, and here comes the pursuit for 29.5 wins is the Vegas over under. So let's see if the Knicks get there. But it was like, the Knicks fans are going to hang a banner for Hezonja blocking Giannis at the rim. But so are you of the believers that the NBA is predictable and that we shouldn't watch until the finals?
Definitely not this year. I did in a couple years past. Like, I did really get tired of just Cleveland, Golden State. I got very all right, we kind of know what's going on. But the finals last year really made me love it because I grew up watching basketball, especially in my household, and just being, my brother was a huge Heat fan. Just, Croatians love basketball. So, but I did get a little tired of it. But I get the Toronto Golden State series just back and forth. Like, I was standing at times watching that in my own house. That's how great it was. So yeah, this year, just based on what both LA teams are doing, and Eastern Conference is always unpredictable. I think the NBA this year hasn't been. It's most interesting since, I don't know, maybe the late 2000s. Like, I don't know. I'm really excited about this year between the LA teams and just, what's gonna happen with Harden and Westbrook.
Right. Yeah, well, that's the thing, and we'll get to the NFL in a little bit, guys, but cheap plug, the Eastern and Western Conference preview shows are up to the last 2 Monday pods. I had Impy on and my buddy Marco. Definitely go check those out. Marco, yeah. Sorry, it's Marco. Staying with that, though, if you look at the Vegas odds, right, it's the first time that there isn't a definitive favorite, right? Last couple of years, we've grown accustomed to seeing minus 180, meaning $180 when you 100 on the Warriors because they were such a big favorite, right? And you saw minus 200s when they got like Boogie and Durant. And, even going back a couple of years, it's like the Heat teams, and then you had the Spurs, and, it's the shortest
Lakers.
odds. Yeah, it's the shortest odds a favorite has been, coming into the year. The Clippers were plus 450. And that's also an inflated number because LA is so close to Vegas. That's why they made them plus 450, where, Kawhi load management, that's like the new thing I think is an interesting storyline with the NBA. Paul George had surgery on both his shoulders, so who knows when that guy's coming back. Though a report came out today from Chris Haynes, and he said that within the next 3 weeks we might see Paul George. So that's a very quick recovery, and that could always be a gift and a curse too.
Yeah. Heard Clay's probably not going to play this year.
Yeah, and you know what? It sucked because I was buying all the stock on the Warriors. I'm like, no one's really talking about them. They're gonna go back to being the underdog everyone loved, especially in the beginning when they first came onto the scene. It's like, we never seen some shit like that where guys are hitting 45% from three, in their system and whatnot. And Draymond Green was a second round pick who became an all-star, all-NBA caliber guy. But I think the thing that the NBA has done, and I don't know if it was to combat it being so top-heavy, was create storylines, right? Like, people are talking about the MVP Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I never remembered that, And also, it's like, you talk about league pass teams. Like, what's a team that you would want to tune into? Even though they suck, they got some fun guys. Like, the Suns might be that this year. They got your boy Dario. Stay with the Croatian team. And even Ricky Rubio and Marco's guys. So I think the NBA is pretty cool, man. It is wide open. I could legit see 7 teams represent the West. In the East, I think it's like Milwaukee and the Sixers.
I feel like it's very Western Conference heavy, but at least there's some unpredictability in the East. But I feel like most of the teams that you want to watch in the Western Conference, which I think is kind of the theme every year.
Yeah.
But this year, I feel like there's just a lot. Like, we even mentioned Utah. Like, Utah's supposed to be really good.
Dude, that's my pick to win the finals.
Damn.
Yo, your boy Bogdanovich.
Yeah, he signed that monster. I feel like everyone gets paid in the NBA. I don't want to hear anything about players getting overpaid. Let my man live.
Nah, look, they need a guy that can stretch the floor. They need some shooting. They need a guy that's not afraid of a big moment. Like, this is my 2 things, right? And I just love talking basketball, folks. I apologize if you're expecting some football. We will get to that. But I'm a fan of guys in big moments. Are you going to ball out or no? You know who did that for me last year? Fred VanVleet.
Hey,
right? Even
Wichita State, great. Him and Ron Baker, the best. I'm a big college guy, by the way. We can talk about that in the future episodes.
Yeah, I mean, you've been on. If people have listened to the show in the past, you've been on many times. You're our college guy along with Boss. But even, Fred VanVleet, Seth Curry last year was impressive. Like, I like guys that got balls. Like, I don't care if we're down 4 on the road. Like, I'm going to take a shot. And Bogdanovich is one of those guys. And Conley also.
You call it the Bob Horry factor?
Yeah. Like, big-time players, big-time games. You're not afraid of the moment. What's your starting 5 going to look like when the game's on the line? And I think Utah's going to be really good.
I used to love traditional big men. Like, not big, well, big men too, but 6 men. Like, loved Bobby Jackson growing up. Like, Bobby Jackson, just the 6 man. Unfortunately, injuries caught up to him. But those Kings teams, then you just have Bobby Jackson come out of nowhere, and Scott Pollard with his 8 different hairstyles. Just the Kings. Even though I grew up a Heat fan, those Kings teams, man, biggest atrocity is them never winning the finals.
Oh man, Stojakovic. Back in the day,
Weber, Bibby, Christie, Vlade, even though Vlade is kind of enemy to Croatians, but we'll leave it at that. But young Hito.
Word,
yeah. So those Kings teams, how they didn't win it, and I know the whole gambling controversy, but what are you gonna do? Damn Tim Donaghy.
Oh, man, Turkoglu and Dwight Howard kept LeBron James out in NBA Finals. Let that sink in.
Jameer Nelson too, man.
Word, St. Joe's.
Yeah, that was the first ever NCAA tournament I ever did, like a bracket, and I picked St. Joe's just because I loved him and Delonte West. And
Jesus,
they got eliminated Sweet 16.
Throwback names. All right, let's get into a little NFL talk, and I think I really want to start off with a storyline that I think is starting to pick up some more momentum, and I think it's the idea of the emergence of Lamar Jackson now. Like, he's really becoming I think he's arguably the best playmaker at quarterback right now in the NFL.
Yeah, I would say slightly over Deshaun. Deshaun's found, but I think Deshaun makes more plays with his arm,
right,
compared to feet.
You mentioned Deshaun and his arm. Wasn't that one of the worst calls you've ever seen? That play where they blew the whistle dead.
They've done it a lot this year. They did it to Baker Mayfield. They did it to Carson Wentz when they played the Falcons. Like, it's just I feel like with all the experience you have as a ref, you should know when a play is truly dead.
Yeah. Man, I always mention this. It's unbelievable how Eli Manning was able to make that play in the Super Bowl. That play would never be made now, right? Where all those guys
stopped.
Yeah, the play would have blew dead. It would have blown dead.
Super Bowl.
And then it alters the entire history of the NFL.
Hey, but maybe they could change the rules, like the Saints fans single-handedly changed.
Right. But yeah,
we'll throw challenge flags now.
But we're talking about that play where Deshaun Watson is getting sacked, but he's still on his feet, and then he throws a touchdown to DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Yo, ultimately that could be looked at as a play that cost them.
They lost by what, 7 or 6?
Yeah, but that would have put them up more points, maybe change momentum as opposed to, because that's a win for the defense if you're inside the red zone and you hold the team to the field goal, so morale gets boosted.
Right.
But yeah, Lamar Jackson, and I don't know, am I crazy for thinking that how many talking heads in sports media said he should be a wide receiver? Wasn't it just Bill Polian?
There are probably other scouts, but no real big names.
I think the biggest name was Bill Polian.
Yeah, it was.
It became a big thing where it's like, oh, everyone said he should be a wide receiver. It's
go run routes.
Actually, I think it was one guy. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys.
In terms of big names, but there's definitely people out there.
Look, I thought he couldn't throw last year, and everything that the Ravens showed me was they agreed with that. Right? They were having him run a lot. They rarely aired it out downfield. He had some of the lowest ADOTs in the league. But then again, it was something that I think is a learning lesson for all of us. What they did in the offseason was actually build a team for Lamar Jackson, right? A lot of tight ends. They got a home run threat in Hollywood Brown, right? They got guys that could stretch the field. Boykin, too, in the draft.
He's starting to come up, yeah.
Yeah. And, they built last year coming into the year. They had an offense built for Joe Flacco and his strengths. Spoiler, not many strengths for Joe Flacco. But also, when you make that change from Joe Flacco to Lamar Jackson, there's going to be some growing pains. So I think that's where I learned my lesson because, I'm going to be honest, and I like to own up on my mistakes. I thought that there were two guys that I thought couldn't throw the football, and it was Lamar Jackson and Mitchell Trubisky. And one of them is it's more reasonable to say that about one of them. But Lamar Jackson, man, he's balling out, and, he's such a playmaker, dude.
That one play where I think he got 3 defenders off balance. Collier, the first round pick, just fell on his ass. There was that one run where he was running to his left. He made 3 defenders just go the other way, and then he just split up field for a first down. And just what he could do with his feet, every week is something new. I remember the Chiefs game where he made 3 players missing. He just walked in the end zone. You just see him pumping his chest. You can see Lamar plays that swagger, but he always makes good decisions. He rarely gets reckless. All right, maybe the Chiefs game threw a couple of crazy passes, but they were down. When you're down 2 possessions in the fourth quarter, you're gonna make some wild decisions. So I don't want to put that against him. I think with him and you got to credit to Harbaugh. I think they really built a good system around the 3 tight ends. I think the O line's damn solid. I love Ronnie Stanley. Yonda's still there. They've really good. You gotta build a good infrastructure, especially for a young quarterback that has limitations. Because Lamar still has some limitations. We don't know. We still gotta see how he looks against the best defenses, and when they face I think it's always key. Whenever you're down 2 possessions, can you come back? Can they rely on your arm? When you kind of have to ban the run, how are you gonna respond? Even though Baltimore, you have to give them credit. Their defense will always keep them in games, even though they don't have quite an amount of talent, especially in the front 7. They don't have the talent that they used to have, but it's secondary. We saw. How about Marcus Peters? That was a very shocking throw by Russell Wilson. He's been in pretty much a consensus MVP so far this year, but I don't know what he saw there.
Dude, he baited the shit out of him. Yeah. That was unbelievable.
Peters
but you know what? You've seen him twice a year for the last couple of years. So that was something that maybe he saw something. He had a tendency that he picked up that maybe others might have not. Kind of like that secondary now.
Humphrey, Jimmy Smith,
Peters, Earl Thomas. Excuse me. I was
gave Pete Carroll the whew.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pete. No, he did give love to Bobby Wagner and Russell Wilson.
Yeah, those were
his guys.
I didn't know about Russ because there was always that dilemma between that
article.
Is it the Legion of Boom or is it Russell Wilson? And there was always kind of
power struggle.
Yeah, was it the defense that was successful and that's why Russell Wilson benefited, but. Yeah, Bobby Wagner, that was his guy too. And I love watching Bobby Wagner. I don't want to get too sidetracked. I want to go back to Lamar Jackson. What do you think the ceiling is on him as a quarterback? Do you think he could be a guy that throws 30 touchdowns a season? Or do you think he's going to be a guy who, he's on pace to shatter Mike Vick's rushing record?
Yeah.
And I think that's something we need to factor when we talk about Lamar Jackson, how he's such a playmaker, dude. That fourth down play where they come off the field And John Harbaugh goes, "You want to go for that?" He's like, "Hell yeah, coach, let's go." He's like, "You want to go for it?" He talks to his line. He's like, "Let's go."
I love how passionate he is. Man.
Yeah. And you know what? Guys rally behind that. And I don't know how long it's going to be sustainable, right? Because running quarterbacks, guys like that get hit as much as he does, and you're carrying the ball 10 to 15 times a game.
He's fearless too.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I did notice one thing. I was looking at Pro Football Index, like Pro Football Reference.
Yeah.
Dude, he's put on 20 pounds since last year. So do you think that was something that they might have told him, like, hey, man, look, we're going to have to unleash you. Maybe you put on some more bulk, some more size to sustain some of these hits.
I guess, yeah. Because especially since he's so young.
Right.
It's usually the time of your career where it's like you got to make a decision. Do you have to lose a little weight, lose a little body fat, or you got to put on some muscle? So I think that's key. I think Hollywood Brown's probably another guy that's going to have to put on some muscle. As explosive as he is, I think eventually when cornerbacks start pressing him and he's playing more snaps, he's going to take a bit of a beating. So, yeah, I think that makes sense. It's just what I'm most impressed by with Lamar. Not just his pocket awareness, but just I love when he sidearms it. Like, when the defender's trying to go up, he just he hit Nick Boyle on like this 10-yard.
Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah, just like this guy just knows. Like, he has such great awareness. A lot of young quarterbacks, you don't see that. You see guys, they panic in the pocket or they'll just make rash decisions. Lamar, he always seems to be in control. And I think that's really impressive, just given that you see a lot of the quarterbacks in his rookie class. Baker's been kind of a mess this year. Sam Darnold Monday night, that might have been one of the worst performances I've seen in a long time from a quarterback. Sorry, Jet fans, but good Lord. And then, Mitchell's Mitchell. So
I fucking loved every moment of that Jet game because everyone was shitting on me for Daniel Jones the day before. And he comes out. And you know what's unfortunate for Sam Darnold, man? That guy's going to have to live with that soundbite for the rest of his life, no matter how well he does. Because anytime he has a bad game, I guarantee you that shit's going to surface where he goes, "I'm seeing ghosts." That's horrible. That's rough.
Man, he should just ask Cuddy and Kanye, like, can we just do something with that?
Yo, for real. Yo, here comes a hot take. Who's the best quarterback from that draft class now?
Has to be Lamar.
Has to be Lamar,
Has
right?
to be Lamar. I like Baker, but Baker panics way too much for my liking. And I think there's a big tendency people are catching on to Baker. Whenever pressure comes, he always goes to the right. You notice that?
I haven't.
You gotta check it out. Like when Baker gets rushed, he always goes to the right. Like I remember in that Rams game, Clay Matthews basically stopped the Russian quarterback. He just said, "I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna contain, and then I'll get to him."
Cut him off on his angle on the outside.
And I just think Baker I don't know. He trusts his arm way too much. Like his mechanics go down. Like I don't know. I don't think it's obviously somewhat of a confidence thing, but it's just he gets very erratic for someone that has quote unquote great arm talent.
Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with his offensive line, too. I just think he has zero trust in that offensive line.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't help.
Because, as a quarterback, and, I played quarterback, too, at a very, very low level. I'm not saying I'm a professional athlete. Obviously, spoiler alert again. But, one thing that they teach you as a quarterback is it's eye level, right? You should never be looking at the pass rush and the offensive lineman. It's like they have to do your job. You're reading second and third level. Now, I don't know. Is he dropping his eyes? That usually means he is dropping his eyes when he's rolling out the pocket right away. So that could be something. Look, that offensive line is not good. That was my biggest concern coming into the year because it reminded me of that dream team that the Eagles had, right? They had all this talent. They wasted all this money, all these top picks, studs everywhere. But then what happens? That offensive line was not that good back then. And that's the same thing this year. Everyone loved Vernon and Beckham coming over, right? That's a big appeal. But you lose Zietler, who's, playing
top
well
guard,
for the Giants. Yeah, he's a top guard. You spent big money on him. And that's what happens. So I don't know. I would have to say Lamar Jackson. I never would have thought I would say that. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, it has to be just because he's someone that I don't think he's obviously going to win MVP, but he's getting a little consideration when you put him there. Other than who is it? You got Wilson, Holmes. I know he's injured right now, but he's still going to be in consideration. Watson. After that,
Rodgers
is back.
Rodgers is back.
Rodgers
Man.
is back.
Yeah, we'll get to Rodgers in a little
bit. But Lamar has to be up there, and just to do it in Seattle, like. I don't think any quarterbacks really played well against Seattle here. Maybe Baker had a decent game. Ironically, Baker actually did look half decent, but even like Teddy didn't do much. But Seattle's been one of the best teams in the league, and to do that in Seattle, like I was certain Lamar was going to make a couple of mistakes in that game, and he didn't. He just hooked with it.